Where does an old-time riverman go after he's passed away? Does his soul still keep a watch on the deep for the rest of the river days? Does he then come back as a channel cat, or the wasps that light on the wheel, or the birds that fly through a summer sky, or the fish swimming under the keel? Where does an old-time pilot go after he's stood his last watch? Does he fall by the ear of the man who steers, saying, hold her on that notch? There's a gentle sneeze in the river breeze, saying, son, I'm going to bed. Then they light their pipes and go off in the night. Or was that fireflies instead?
I loved the profession far better than any other I've followed. The reason is plain. A pilot in those days was the only unfettered and entirely independent human being that lived in the earth.
Captain Dennis Trone was a small boy when the first great steamboats disappeared from the river. Inspired by Mark Twain's book, Life on the Mississippi, he undertook to design and build his own full-size steamboat, authentic in every detail, including a hand-carved steam calliope.
Help me bring her down to the right.
Today, Captain Trone takes great pride in teaching cub pilots the age-old secrets of the Mississippi.
You gotta keep away from that snag.
Yep.
The face of the water in time became a wonderful book, delivering its most cherished secrets to me as clearly as if it uttered them with a voice.
Built in 1971 in Dubuque, Iowa, the BELLE SWAIN is one of only 5 authentic steam-powered passenger vessels still in operation on the Mississippi River system. Commissioned by Captain Dennis Trone, she was also the last boat built by the Dubuque Boat and Boiler Works and the first true steam-powered vessel Trone ever designed. In styling, the Julia Bell is considered the finest example of a Western River stern-wheel packet boat on the water today, modeled after the steamers that operated regularly on the upper Mississippi over 130 years ago. The term packet boat means a vessel that carried cargo and passengers. With that in mind, she was designed with a traditional spacious open main deck and ornately appointed upper decks to accommodate dining and general passenger comfort, including a bar, plentiful seating, and steam calliope. Her open-air pilot house sports a gorgeous 7-foot wooden antique pilot wheel, as well as large windows and a brass control stand. The propulsion system begins at her vertical water tube boiler, which burns No. 2 marine-grade diesel oil and supplies steam to her 2 stern-wheel engines, manufactured in 1915 by Gillett and Eaton of Lake City, Minnesota. Originally installed on the ferryboat City of Baton Rouge, the engines put out roughly 200 horsepower and have logged well over 1 million miles. Every 5-foot stroke transfers power to the huge 21-foot paddle wheel by means of 2 pitman arms and crank assemblies. The exhaust is routed up through the escape pipes into the air or bypassed to a condensing unit below decks. The engine's design offered many benefits to steamboats of the day due to their efficiency and unique eccentric and valve design. The valve assembly is contained completely in the engine room versus an eccentric arm leading to the paddle shaft, which exposed it to possible damage from river debris, ropes, and other obstructions.
Cause you're getting anything you can.
The Julia Bell was formerly based in Peoria, Illinois, making short excursions on the Illinois River, Peoria Lake, as well as 2-day round-trip cruises to Starved Rock State Park. She was also featured quite prominently in the 1973 movie Tom Sawyer as the River Queen, as well as the 1974 movie Huckleberry Finn. The steamer contended in the Great Steamboat Race twice in 1975 and 76, winning in 76 against the Delta Queen and the Belle Louisville.
Peoria Airport with heavy rain and thunder showers. The temperature was 67 degrees, the relative humidity 90%. The wind from the north at 10, the barometric pressure 29.79 and rising. We have received 1/2 inch of rain in a half-hour time. Springfield is reporting 73 light rain, Rockford 68. Cloudy, chance of showers and thunderstorms, high in the low 80s. Southeast winds 10 to 15 miles an hour today, 5 to 10 miles an hour tomorrow.
Okay, ship up ahead.
Probabilities of rain near 100% today, 60% tonight, and 40% Tuesday. The extended forecast Wednesday through Friday, partly cloudy with chance of showers Thursday and Friday, highs near 80 and lows in the 60s.
Tom, run it too short of a half.
Well, I went up the river the other night, darker than the inside of a cow. Ain't nothing like a cookie dough river, straighten my head right out. Now I love my love, she's pretty as can be, and I love to take her down. Those pretty ladies really like to ride when the Julia Bell comes down, when the Julia Bell comes down. It's knowing that your door is always open and your path.
Country and folk singer and songwriter John Hartford helped to bring fame to the Julia Bell Swain in the 1970s by forming his music and many songs around her and the river. Hartford soon became a family member of the Julia Bell crew, obtaining his pilot license and manning the wheel as often as he could. John's own claim to fame was brought about by one song that changed his life forever. He wrote and composed "Gentle on My Mind," a tune which Glenn Campbell picked up and made famous. Financially secure, Hartford was able to pursue a life of music and river travel, and spent most his days aboard the Julia Bell.
WIZ 4048 steamer Julia Bell Swain northbound below the Spring Valley Bridge, checking for southbound traffic between Spring Valley and Peru. I always have liked boats, and when I was in the 5th grade, I had a teacher who was a steamboat buff, and I caught the disease from her. And I grew up collecting old steamboat photos and artifacts, and when I was old enough to go to work on the towboats, I did that. First boat that I ever steered was an Ernest T. Weir, and it was a towboat, and we were going up through the St. Paul Harbor one time. It was before I got back into music, but it was just, I just held the levers like for about 10 minutes. It wasn't anything spectacular. But the first steamboat I ever steered was this boat right here. We went out and left out of Peoria, and we were going to Chattanooga, Tennessee. And I came up there in the pilot house, and I hadn't expected to steer or anything. I just felt good just to be able to be allowed to be in the inner sanctum, so to speak. And Dennis asked me if I wanted to steer. I said, sure, you know. And I got on the wheel, and he told me, so it was about 4 or 5 hours later, he asked me if I was getting tired. And I said, no, I was just roaring down the river, having a great, and all of the stuff that I'd thought about and studied about for years and I had never put into practice was just all coming down on me. It was like a dam break. I'd read all about it and studied about it in my mind and on paper, and I just had never actually put it into practice.
During his later years, Hartford returned to the river every summer. His home in Madison, Tennessee was situated on a bend at the Cumberland River and was built to simulate the view from a steamboat deck. That bend is now known as Hartford's Bend, where he would often chat with boat captains by radio as their barges floated on down the river. However, from the 1980s on, John had non-Hodgkin lymphoma, and on June 4, 2001, he died of the disease at age 63.
This is a song about the Julia Bell Swain.
In 1995, the Julia Bell was sold and moved to La Crosse, Wisconsin, where she was owned and operated by the Great River Steamboat Company, providing lunch and dinner cruises, as well as weddings, private charters, and overnight cruises to historic river towns in Wisconsin, Iowa, and Minnesota. However, due to financial issues, the cruises stopped in 2009.
For boat that's home to La Crosse won't be making waves anytime soon. The owners of the Julia Bell Swain say they won't be operating the steamboat this year and might put the boat up for sale. The owners thought they had a potential buyer, but the sale fell through about a month ago. After 12 seasons of operating the Julia Bell Swain, the owner says it's time to take a break.
This year, with the economy being a little slow, I think that the company outings are probably going to go by the wayside because companies don't have the money to spend on employee outings and so on. So I just predict it to be a fairly slow year with the boat.
Callaghan says he's not ruling out the option of keeping the Julia Bell Swain running in the future, but if he does decide to sell, he hopes someone will continue operating it out of La Crosse.
The once great steamboat now sat dormant on the Black River, awaiting some type of fate, until 2013, when she was temporarily allowed to dock at Riverside Park in La Crosse. Then an organization named the Julia Bell Swain Foundation bought the boat with goals of restoring her to
A
service.
local foundation working to keep a replica steamboat in the water is changing its business plan. The Julia Bell Swain Foundation, which maintains the Julia Bell Swain steamboat in La Crosse, is now considered a nonprofit company. The nonprofit status makes the foundation exempt from state and federal taxes and also eligible to receive tax-free donations. The status will help pay for major renovations needed for the boat to be compliant with the American with Disabilities Act. Along with an elevator and more thrusters to maneuver down the river, passengers will see some other significant changes as well.
We're actually removing the exterior skin of the upper decks 2 and 3, and we're going to widen that out. And so that will accommodate more passenger comfort, and it'll be environmentally controlled.
The renovations are estimated to cost about $1.7 million. The nonprofit hopes to have the project completed by next spring.
The foundation is taking leaps and bounds toward restoring and operating the Julia Bell and is well on its way towards completing the task. Major renovations have already taken place, but a lot of work still lies ahead.
Julia Swain is my name, but they call me Julia Bell. I'm a Mississippi steamboat, and I know that river well.
From sitting dormant for so long, the vessel deteriorated dramatically and needs some extreme TLC. Apart from being gutted, she's also receiving a new boiler and generator systems, hull modifications, paddle wheel repairs, a backup auxiliary engine, and many more enhancements and updates. The overall goal is to completely renovate and restore the steamer to like-new status, keeping passenger safety and comfort, as well as her iconic looks and style in mind. The hard work of all involved in the organization, plus the support of riverboat enthusiasts all across the country, have made this project not only a possibility, but a reality. And when it's all said and done, a major piece of American river history will be preserved for generations to come. So listen for the whistle, and we hope to see you aboard. Long live the Julia Bell Swain.
Julia Bell, no more working.